Early April 2022, West Hill Pond, New Hartford, Connecticut. Decided to go out for a dive today. Gave Ed a call, and that's Ed right there, and we're about ready to go in. So, we decided to go check out a sunken rowboat, which I found a few years ago, but I wasn't able to re-find it until last year with Ed during a dive, and I was able to put a line on it. And I ran the line to a main line, which I have running straight out from the dock. So today we're just going to find the main line out, find the sideline to the rowboat, and head over that way and check it out. So here we are, just got into the water. Now I took out a lot of the parts of the video to make it shorter, but I left enough in there so you can see what we're doing, see the boat. There goes Ed. But before we completely went out, I wanted to check out my anchors to my floating dock, so you'll see that coming up right now. Oh yeah, there, see the white line to the right, that was the main line, that new one, and that yellow one's the older one. Eventually I'll take out the yellow one. Too many ropes, become a tangle hazard, but here we are heading out to the floating dock. Here's one of the chains and one of the anchors. Yeah, last year those chains rusted on me. I had them out for a while and floating dock floated away. So I'm just going to take a quick swim around. Make sure the anchors and the chains are all intact. And that's the typical topography at the bottom of West Hill, at least up until about 30 feet. Then the topography changes quite a bit. Water temperature is about 45 degrees, top to bottom. A couple times a year, it's pretty much top to bottom 45. The bottom's always 45, it's just as it cools down, as summer progresses into the winter, the top gets to 45, then the top gets below 45 as everything freezes. And then as everything melts again, it starts to heat up again till the water on the top gets to be around in the 70s, but the bottom still stays at 45. Now, you see the filter here on my camera seems to be, I thought it was locked in place, but it goes open, it goes closed, so you'll see the color will change from what looks like normal color to a deep green color as the filter opens up and closes on my GoPro, which I've mounted to my headband. So we're just heading on out past the dock. Now at about 20 feet, you'll see the freshwater mussel. A lot of freshwater mussels. And here they're starting up. Anywhere from like 18 to 24, 25 feet. That's where those freshwater mussels love to be. Start to see them on the bottom there. Now, if you watched any of the other videos I've done, West Hill is very cold, spring-fed, ancient volcano crater. Now you're coming up to see the sideline. We're following the main line. By that line that runs off to the left, that's the sideline out to the rowboat. The main line continues forward for quite some distance, and there's a sunken sailboat that I have further down off to the right that I put a line to. And now we just made that left-hand turn. Essentially, we're heading west. The main line runs north-south, so we made a left-hand turn here. We're heading west. Starts at around 22 feet, but then the boat is at around 40 feet. Now you see how West Hill is very clear, very, very clear lake up on top, but when you get lower down in it, it gets silty. I believe a lot of those freshwater springs kick up the silt on the bottom, so the further down you get, it's almost a blackout from silt. It's very difficult to see, even with lights, because of the backscatter from the light. You gotta be real careful. Like there is an anchor with a little bit of a line on it. Usually I take those lines and I just chop them up. If I can, I'll bring them back, but if not, I'll just chop them up in 1 foot sections so they don't hook onto you at a bad time. But you get down deep, it's hard to see with the silt, the backscatter. You gotta be careful. Well, we're not too bad here. We're just, like I said, the boat's only at about 40 feet. You have visibility most of the way. The light does help though. So if you're interested in scuba diving, it's a lot of fun, but you gotta get yourself, you gotta be careful. You gotta obviously get proper training, especially when you're dealing with cold water. Right now we're just continuing to head out to the rowboat. A little deeper than where the freshwater mussel fields are. And it starts to get more like what you see here, less rocks, more silt the deeper you get. Yeah, I lost that rowboat a few years ago, and I kept on going back out and looking for it. I just couldn't run over it. You know, sometimes when it gets a little silty like that and vision's limited, it's hard to see too far. I finally found it, like I said last year with that again. Now that's the bow of the boat, and that's the starboard side, so the boat is pointing to the right. And you can see the planking coming off of the bow. So it's an old, I don't know how old it is, but it has some time on it. Very old wooden rowboat. There's my filter again. So that's the planking just peeling off the bow. The bow goes to the right, and the aft end is to the left. And then on the edge of the rails, you'll see it's where they mounted the oars at these old iron mounts which are all rusted up. You barely can touch them. So that's obviously the bow of the boat. Towards the top of the screen is the aft. On your left hand side is the starboard, because we're looking at the boat in reverse. I'm just going to float over the boat here from the bow to the stern. So you're looking at where the light was on. That's the starboard side, and that's the port side, and that's the rear end of the boat. Now I got to go back here and metal detect around it. It's still hard to tell if the boat was scuttled on purpose or if they lost it in a storm. But there are two wrecks within probably 700 feet of each other. So throughout the bottom of that lake, I'm sure there are a lot more. It's going to take a while to eventually find them all, but keep at it. So we're headed back towards the bow of the boat, going over it. And we're going to be heading back now. That's my pony tank hanging off my loops on the front of my harness. A lot of times I like to wear the pony attached to my main tank, but it is quite a bit easier just to clip it up and clip it off to the front of the harness. And now again, topography, when you get below 40 to 60, the lake is, or the pond is 60 foot deep at its, pretty much at its max. You'll see topography change. Now we came back to the junction to the main line, and we're going to head back to the main dock. I took out a lot of the in-between stuff, but as you get shallower and shallower, the rocks build up and the mussels will build back up. You see a lot of mussels and other life, but down deep, it's pretty much just plain silt. And it is volcanic in nature, the lake. There's a lot of large rocks down there, which you can tell look like they've been put into a blast furnace and melted and twisted. There's no doubt that that crater there was an ancient volcano. I took one piece up. I took one piece up, a large piece of melted rock. Someday I'll have a geologist take a look at it. And there we are. We're getting back towards the end. Getting into shallow water again. And now we're coming up to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching.